Okay. All right. Cool. Well, it is 2:02 on Wednesday, May 3rd. We'll officially call this special board meeting to order. Let's see if I'm gonna do something. We'll do roll call, quick intros again. We'll go on. I wasn't sure if everyone was joining us, so sorry, I kind of love you a little bit. Okay. Carly Hoover, Director of District 1.
Jan Muller, Jack, District 2.
Edna Morris, District 4.
Dave Larson, this is Todd.
I've been welcome to our visitors, both in person and online. Okay, so I couldn't help myself. I took this opportunity to like facilitate a little bit, so we'll see. So what I thought we'd do is I know we have like just an hour to kind of really refine a little bit, and I know that there are like kind of one big question that I know we need to kind of tackle and talk a little bit about, so we can really get back to John Welch around is kind of like the role of the interim. And so we're gonna dive into that question a little bit, but I also kind of wanted to just take some time and kind of like brainstorm as a group and kind of workshop a little bit some of the similar questions that were on the survey, so that, you know, we can kind of go with kind of our brainstorm and then kind of mesh it with the data that we're seeing from folks. So what I thought we were doing, and this feels too highly facilitated, just let me know, but it just feels like it might be easier to me, at least. So I thought we would start with is like just kind of brainstorming some characteristics and skills and experience that we want or need in an interim superintendent. So like two specific things, so like skills, experience over here. And the reason why I had that skills and experience is because like if they don't have particular experience, but they have a skill, right, they could get the thing, the task that we want to, you know, need to be done. So that's one set, and then the other one is just characteristics. So like similar to the ones that we, you know, were kind of on the survey, but just, you know, so just kind of popcorn on. Then a little bit, we're talking about like what are the priorities that the board sees for the interim in the next 10 months, and then we'll talk about that discussion with the superintendent, and then we'll actually come back to this and match up. Kind of narrow down, these are the skills and characteristics based on the priorities that we've identified. Does that feel okay? Yep. Okay, cool. All right. What do you think? Just start popcorning some characteristics out.
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable, is that at all things?
Knowledgeable at what to watch for as a superintendent. And that maybe experienced is better.
Yeah, look over here. Knowledgeable about like what to look for. Or what to see.
Yeah.
So I'm also gonna put like superintendent lens, whatever that means, but we can talk more about that if we want to.
So, not too big in terms of experience or experience with bargaining at the district level.
Okay.
And then also, experience in managing finances and a declining enrollment environment.
And that's pretty specific.
Okay.
That, yeah.
Item 16.
Managing,
Come on.
No, yes.
6 doesn't do it. It's good, but
Communication skills.
okay. Can you speak a little bit more to that, like what kind of communication skills?
Being able to communicate with staff and community, what's happening, the transparency.
Okay, so we put under characteristics transparent. Is that okay? I don't want to speak for anyone, but I'm just trying to understand. Okay. And then I want strong communication. I'll put that in experience and skills, but I think diving into that a little bit more can be useful. But I think
I would
this
say,
makes
I mean, you could narrow it down to knows what to share when.
oh, I like that. Okay.
One of the characteristics we had listed before was of a deep understanding of the instructional challenges of classroom teachers, principals, and support staff. And I really appreciate that.
Does that come with experience? Experience as a teacher, as a principal,
As a
as a
superintendent.
parent, as a superintendent.
Can you just say that one more time?
I can read it. Of a deep understanding of the instructional challenges of teachers, principals, and support staff. And uses the resources to empower them, which I really liked.
I'm gonna put under characteristics, empower and leader. I want some ability, yeah. Okay.
So this is, there's a few different ways you can do that. Strong leadership skills in multicultural, multiracial communities. On the survey, it says culturally competent, committed anti-racist work, so whichever one, you want to use the survey version? I don't know. Either one is fine with me.
Okay, I'll just put. Actually, I'm gonna put committed to anti-racist work under characteristics.
Sure.
But I think there's something actionable to that under skills and experience. Which might be the first one.
That's more, yeah, leadership skills in multicultural, multiracial.
Okay.
Another characteristic was, would they to be able to build trust and relationships.
Mm.
Trustworthy
Mm.
and trustful.
Mm. Mm. And then, relationship builder. Over here.
We're getting a lot of feedback on being present,
Mm. Mhm.
visible and present.
And then involved.
So another. This, credential, and so superintendent credential. I'm not sure you say.
In Washington State.
Yeah. I think
Just maybe like another 2 minutes on this and more.
the one is probably a little different, system level thinker. And
So under skills experience, I'll do like system building and change. And then over here, it can be system here. Change. Because I think.
Visionary,
what was that?
visionary.
Oh,
I would make that a low priority for an intern.
For sure,
But
Somewhat.
a little bit.
Okay, it's okay.
You know, a little bit of vision, you know, perhaps, as we're setting, you know, the stage for the purpose of the yeah. I feel like there's more.
the other one is some form of focusing on student success.
Hmm.
Nothing in there. That's it.
Let's see. I'm gonna go, straight face. And then student centered. And then over here, probably like involving youth.
so for me, for interim, and this doesn't have to be agreed upon, this is just me. I don't want someone who wants a full-time job. I want someone who wants a temporary job.
Yeah, so that's where we disagree. I don't want to rule that out.
Yeah.
That may be where we end up, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, so I think, at the meeting, we're definitely gonna have to dig into that conversation for sure. At the meeting, I think you named a few reasons why, and so I'm curious, because I think some of those things might actually fit here when we think about characteristics, like I think one was like not coming in and making a lot of change or something like that. Can you speak to any of the?
Well, for me, they don't have to build lasting relationships. This is a spot in time where they're looking at what's going on, holding it in place, know when things go awry. And we don't need to worry about them applying for the position at the same time. I don't know what you mean by characteristics, other than just not trying to climb the ladder. Not needing to prove themselves, maybe that's,
Or something, yeah. Oh, that actually brings something up for me, I think, and this is like, I guess a little bit of a mindset, but I could fall under this is like. Not seeing technical as like something that needs to be fixed, yeah,
yeah, that's,
but I guess that kind of goes with like straight faced. Mindset. Maybe,
well, there are things that need to be fixed, and yet I don't think the
Yes.
interim is the one that we're asking to do that. So, but we could disagree on that one too.
no, I don't disagree, I guess when I say fixed, I mean. Someone who's gonna come in from the outside thinking that they know exactly what someone needs.
Right.
And that they're gonna change it, right, versus, really being collaborative, but I mean, that's, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
future conversation we're thinking about the permanent superintendent.
Yeah.
Right, anything else? I mean, we can add some more to the as we go.
Well, I already had that discussion about whether the interim superintendent should be here or not, because the reasons that I think, like I said, I don't want to rule it out. That we may find the superintendent that, fits nicely in the long term. But there's a couple of reasons why, just strictly an interim, is because they're going to be involved in negotiating a contract, which is we're gonna have to live with for a number of years, and not having a buy-in to live with that contract. That to me is kind of the downside. The other thing is we've heard from staff that, more turnover at the top is not good. So more stability at the top is not good. So for those reasons, like I said, it depends on who we get. I just don't want to rule it out. That,
I hear you. All I'm saying is I would not be looking for someone who wants to have the possibility of continuing. I would rather look for someone who doesn't, and I understand why you're saying that. For me, the things like bargaining and all of that, that's all done by our staff. If we get somebody who knows what they're doing as a superintendent, they can oversee it, they can see what's going on because they've had experience doing it. And the staff do, I think we trust the staff to do their work. And I wouldn't want a superintendent coming in and changing that at this moment as an interim, but that's just my rationale.
yeah, bargaining, ultimately, the staff does bargaining, but ultimately there's typically tough decisions have to be made about.
But they're supposed to come back to us.
Yeah,
Those tough decisions come back to us.
well, but understanding, sometimes they're complex, and, I don't know if you read our 150-page bargaining contract,
No.
but understanding the complexity of that and what it means down the road or doesn't mean. I want somebody at the helm who really, knows what has experience in that area and knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and
So things can be complex.
no, I totally agree. That's the knowledge part that I want them to have.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would hate to discourage someone from being an interim because they may not be hired, shrinking our resources.
Yeah, and part of this is we don't know what our pool looks like.
Right.
And if we knew what the pool looked like, maybe we would not be having all these conversations. Maybe we.
Well, I think this conversation is actually what's gonna help him determine the pool, because from what I understand based on the conversation I had with and there's likely a lot of people, right, that will be quite large, right? And so this could expand it differently. And a second, I want to talk a little bit about like what kind of our priorities we think are for the next 12 months. We really need to sit around and focus on, because then I think we can continue this conversation really leaning into what are the priorities, right? Because I think one of the things I think about too is like the priorities of the interim superintendent are going to be very different. And probably the things that we really want and need for this 12-month time is going to be different than it is for the permanent superintendent. So maybe there is someone that has what we need for this interim and may have what we need for the permanent, but they're not necessarily mutually exclusive in my thought. I think what I want more, because I can see so much the pros and cons, and I'm of the opinion that I would not necessarily rule it out either, but knowing that, like, for me, it's a mindset, right? I think the challenge of the interim person, like, kind of really vying for the job, right? Really trying to get the job is they're gonna bring a different level of, I don't know, they're probably just gonna show up differently versus showing up how we need them to, right? And so I think for me, if there's someone who is interim, is okay with doing just interim, and may also apply for the permanent job, as long as you know that, like, these are the things we want you to do. I don't know, if it feels like it would be okay for you, but it would be the mindset of the interim thing.
Yeah, just one other thing that's throw into this, and can do it or not, but we do have a stagnant board director superintendent relationship, which might be worth just sharing that with John and whoever, wants to apply, because some idea of, how we like to do business would be helpful.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Is that format? When we all agree on that?
Well, I mean, it has been approved in the last, this is one that we review every once in a while. And was last approved in April 21, so
21, so
I don't know, it has to do with, what the president does, what what we want communications. I don't think there's anything, we do is terribly controversial, but it just might be helpful to either John and or somebody coming in to know this is how you guys typically do business.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't,
Is that a policy or the superintendent expectations?
it's called the board of directors superintendent relationship. I would call it probably should be. It may be at one point called an expectation, I forget.
Yeah, I look at it like, as a substitute teacher, you can go into any classroom and do what you're supposed to do. And I kind of look at that as the superintendent. For an interim. An interim should be able to walk into any district and know what they're looking for, serve for a time, and it's not any different than serving Tenino or Tukwila or Marysville or Ephrata or we know it's different, but from that level viewpoint, I don't think it needs to be any more specific than that someone knows what they're doing as a superintendent. That's my take on it. I'm guessing that a superintendent view looks the same wherever you go. And maybe that wasn't even a helpful comment.
It's helpful.
12 months is a long time to not have some investment in it. To me, if I were going to apply for being the superintendent, I would want to know that the time and energy I spent was beneficial for all.
Well, I'm not saying it,
Oh, no,
I'm a substitute teacher. You're invested in that moment.
Absolutely, but
Right, which is, I think why I, disagree, and I think it could really go either way, like, if the person's not invested in the long term, then they may not, bargain in, the best of ways, or do, it would also be the opposite, right? They're not as invested in, so they're really gonna make sure that, folks' voices are listened to, they need to listen to, and, they really advocate for things because they aren't here to necessarily, so I think it could go either way.
There's in my knowledge of having seen kind of other districts around, I mean, there are a group of folks that are kind of the retired superintendent, that's all they do, they jump from district to district. That's one set of folks. The other set are people that, you know, are looking for a position. And, I don't, I guess I don't, want to underestimate the, you know, changing positions at the top has impacts all down the chain. And, you know, here it comes, and it's inevitable because everybody has their own style, their own personality, that it's gonna cause, you know, for the staff all the way up. So, you know, it's not the only consideration, but for me, it's a consideration. If we can find somebody that can come in and stay, great. You know, but they have to, you know, fit in. My experience in the past, it'll be interesting, we're hearing all this, all these people are gonna apply,
Right.
okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
We haven't, you know, we typically don't get, I mean, we get a lot of people that apply, but the numbers that are actually, you know, qualified in any sense, you know, very quickly narrows down to a very few, so, I mean, we'll see, yeah, like I said, it all just, you know, we keep coming back to it, it all depends on who's there, so. And I just, for that reason, I kind of want to keep things
Keep the options
open.
open.
Keep the I like open options rather than closed
And I
options.
think essentially that's kind of where, you know, the objective would be to get to at the end of this conversation is like, so that we can go, you know, go back to Dr. Bush and say, you know, we're gonna say hard no to anyone continuing on, or we are open to it. However, that's not necessarily what we're looking for. Or we can say we're open to it. So I think it's because that is gonna change the pool of folks that he might bring to us. If we do leave it more open with the understanding, again, that these are the specific things that we need right now for this time, the superintendent, and that's what we really want you to focus on. And then, you know, get someone perfect that was a retired superintendent that is just gonna come in and do those things to be great.
And I actually have, in the past, we've actually had somebody who work here who retired, but then came here and decided they enjoyed it and stayed on. So that's the other, you know, potential thing. Could go on, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is he wanted us to be, you know, mindful and, you know, considering the candidates that we might have and, you know, how it might impact them, right? If they were to come in as an interim, thinking there may be a possibility and then come down in like 12 months and we say no. So it's essentially, are we open to it or not? You know, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the best way, I guess, to get to a place where we feel at least okay saying to John, this is where we sit. I don't necessarily know that it needs to be like a voted consensus, but I do want to have something.
Well, we might
Are okay with.
just need to say that until we see the pool of candidates, we can't really decide on this.
And he can't make a full candidate until he knows.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be open to it.
Yeah, it sounds like leave it open until we see the publication.
So is that a message for the John?
Well, yeah. but
Yeah.
that's-
We're talking to him on Tuesday, I can ask. I mean, I don't know, I'm looking at you. You're like, I don't know.
Or if you, I mean, if you feel like you need a resolution, then, well,
I would just like to see it open so that opens the pool of candidates first. Because when they say there's a lot of candidates, what does that mean?
well, yeah.
Because we
that's
have a lot of
my mind.
candidates before. And,
Yeah, there's a lot of candidates, there's a lot of qualified. Two different subjects.
Open but not guaranteed. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely where I sit, like open, but not even like. Not only is it not guaranteed, I think another thing too, and you know, this is something that, you know, I actually don't remember who I was chatting with that. You know, this person can also be someone that supports us in the effort of finding the superintendent, right? So if that becomes this is a part of your role as the interim superintendent. You know, whether that's you, whether that's someone else, like you're kind of a part of ushering ushering that new person in and helping us figure out the community with the firm, with all of us, like look at who that person is and all of that.
Yeah, if you go there, that basically shuts down them from becoming the firm because they can't be involved. Because, well, I mean, you see, Dr. Hernan stepping out of this, I suspect others wouldn't feel comfortable being in that role as well.
Possibly, I think that maybe that's, I would wonder why, right? And maybe there's an opportunity to. I don't know,
Well, because I know, I mean, we've done it in the past, so search firms come in here and one of the first questions they ask is, they're trying to figure out is, does your interim have an inside track? Because they want to be honest with their clients.
right?
So,
And the answer would be no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Right, so, I don't know, I guess. To me, having the person involved just speaks to the transparency and the openness of it and the community drive of it, right? Because if we're really doing. I don't know, if we're really letting the community drive the decisions that we make around the superintendent. Of course, ensuring that they have the skills that they need to be able to run a district.
yeah, personally, I'd really, for that kind of stuff, I'd rather lean John Welch than somebody who's kind of in the middle of it here. Because number one, he's got a really wide, reach in terms of he knows this whole area.
And he knows who's who, and
Yeah, it's better than
So-
almost anybody.
But John won't be helping us with that, we'll be hiring a firm for that.
Well, we can do both.
I guess I see the leader as being an important part of. That whole process, so, I don't know, and also if you're a person that is seeing the needs of the district, aren't you the perfect person to speak to what the next leader should look like? I don't know, I mean, I wish Dr. Hernan were here, because I think he has a lot to offer, probably in understanding what the district needs. But we've had, we can have other conversations about it. I'm not necessarily here today, but I get the discomfort, and also we create sometimes those discomforts to some degree. But yes,
honestly, I just wondering if Aaron has any input. Nope. Nope.
Saturday the 15th,
That's
right?
right.
That's when we can talk.
I don't know, you asked, you thought, whatever you go to. Do you want to talk a little bit maybe about what our priorities are for this person? Because that, I mean, again, I would assume, I would feel that would all shape who we want as the interim, and it becomes more about who that person is and what they bring, and less about what happens at the end of the 12 months, but I'm not sure. So my thought for this, instead of popcorning, is that we just use sticky notes and write down, like, again, really honing in on in the next 12 months. What do we need? Right, what do we want the priorities of this person
Do you
to?
think that's somehow different?
Yeah.
from that list up there?
Yeah, because this is a long list of skills, right? Skills and experience, and some of them might be the same, for sure. And if not, if you think this is it, then that's fine.
So I mean, are you trying to get to, push these into priority order? Is that what
I think ultimately I'm trying not to give, I'm trying to be realistic about what we're asking a person to do in 12 months. Right, obviously,
So many of those things are just, if they're transparent and a visionary, all those things are just,
they're all just gonna happen.
they should be innate in the person who is taking on that leadership.
I don't disagree. And people are human, right? And everybody has things to develop and nurture. So there are some things so someone may come in as a really strong visionary. They also may be really trustworthy, but they have a hard time trusting people. Right? So people still have, and I want to make space where we're not going to find the perfect person that has all of these things. We're just not, right? And so when we think about what we need, what's the most important part in the next 12 months?
So I guess, so you're asking for kind of a task oriented?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So like,
Okay.
Larson,
yes.
finding,
Okay.
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
That's a good question.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, those two.
So those.
I mean, we know that there's gonna be an agreement that's going to be done, so task that needs to get done.
So I think the reason I said, then I'm trying to link the task to the experience, right? So if bargaining is a task that we know we need, we want someone with that specific experience, right?
Same thing with finance.
Same thing with the finance, yeah.
And I, once again, I want to say that they have skill of oversight for bargaining and finance. They don't have to do the finances, they don't have to do the bargaining, but they have to be able to know what's going on and whether it's going in the right direction on all of those.
Because they're the ones that ultimately make decisions. I mean, the staff will bring,
Well, they have to bring to us if there's something
Mhm.
awry.
well, but the internal, the staff brings to the superintendent. I mean, we talked about the advisory committee about, you know, the advisory goes to the superintendent and the CFO brings her recommendations and sometimes there's, you know, decisions, you know, here you can go this way or this way and superintendent ultimately. And then, and then they bring it to us.
Right.
And do we agree with what the decision?
Right.
So,
So it's almost as if we want someone that has bargaining experience, literally probably in the weeds bargaining experience, but then has the skill and the character and the ability to have oversight. So now they've done the in the weeds things and they're gonna come here and help oversee it.
Right.
Does
Exactly.
that feel true?
And it's same with being, you know, a classroom teacher, a principal, they've got that experience in the weeds.
So when we think about financially speaking, you said it really well earlier, is that like this specific thing, like managing the finances under with our declining enrollment? Is there a specific thing that like, and I guess it doesn't have to be, you know, word for word exactly today, but like is it getting our fund balance up? Like what is there something tangible?
yeah, those are always tough decisions that we see going on all around us right now. And it's, and we've got, you know, we've gone through the budget priorities of the board and what happened, budget philosophy and, you know, those kind of high level things, but you know, they're gonna have to have the tough calls of specifically, you know, what's gonna get shrunk a little bit or what's not gonna get shrunk. And
Okay.
I don't know. Say that again, you're asking for what specific?
Some of the priorities.
Yeah, so again, when, you know, if we say, you know, John, we want someone that has bargaining experience, financial, you know, knows how to manage the finances, can provide oversight, really specifically ensuring that we know we've got some hard decisions to make ahead
Did we offend
around
you?
our budget.
Did we bore you?
I'm sure they don't want
Do you have something else to do?
I mean, getting to the weeds here, like, is that the feeling? I think I'm just trying to provide as much information as we can to.
Yeah, I'm just
Well,
looking-
and the levy, I would put the levy on there, we gotta do a levy. Right? I'm going with Deborah's bobblehead over there saying that.
we have to do a levy for what?
It comes out in August, we start to work on it in February.
For, 24, yeah, we do it in 24. And I
So
guess,
we haven't started in August,
okay, started, yeah.
so they need to know,
But it goes on the ballot in February of 24.
that's the information I got.
Well, we have that, yeah, that's,
So,
Okay.
oh, that's right, that is during, 24 school year, yeah,
Coming right up.
forgot about that.
So it almost feels like,
The other language I would put in characteristics is that they're a team player. To me, that's really important, especially looking at getting our staff working together. I mean, and being a part, I don't know if they want to be the coach or if they want to be the pitcher or what, but recognizing the rest of the team's contributions.
Yeah, that's the thing, I mean, we have a number of initiatives going on. You know, Dr. Borche is doing, and, you know, are doing a lot of stuff, and so. Yeah, in my mind, we don't want to be. Yeah, team, but I mean, we don't want somebody kind of coming in and running roughshod over that stuff, want them actually supporting the
Right.
work, so
Right.
team player, that would be one way to say that.
I think also I see it as an interesting time for someone to get a strong assessment of like, and we've been asking for a long time, like, what are all the things that we're doing? And how, like, what's the map and how do they all go together? I don't know if that's a realistic thing,
That's,
To
to me,
do it
that's
well.
the system of.
the system stuff.
Yeah, and then communicating it.
Yeah, that would be really nice to be able to hand to the interim. And say this, these are the things going on, and, but
Yeah,
that would take some.
I think it's also like a characteristic to be, to value the staff.
Yeah, well,
But I think that's not always going on. So is that characteristic? Empathetic and understanding the value of staff? I don't. I think that's a component that we sometimes forget as we try to get things done. Because our staff has a great wealth of knowledge and wisdom.
so to kind of get back to, I mean, the original was kind of like task oriented, so I guess we agreed on bargaining, and I guess put in starting levy and then financing them. And then there's something about, yeah, continuing the current work or
Yeah,
without,
Supporting current work?
supporting current work or whatever. I mean, I don't know,
yeah, it's like, don't be rid of the train.
yeah,
The train is on the track right now, it may be. Yeah,
Someone gave me an interesting metaphor, or an interesting metaphor, to say like we're someone to come in and drive the ship, right? Steer the ship, but the problem is we're all in different boats,
Mhm.
right? And so someone can maybe help us figure out how to like get on the same ship a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some ways, and, you know, again, that's something I think the boards we talk about all the time, that collaboration, that really, I think that team mindedness, which we know the schools. Which again, I guess really goes back to that systems leader, so I wonder, I mean, we know, I mean. Financial oversight has to be, I guess, our number one thing, particularly knowing the declining enrollment. That we're all faced with right across the region, as well as the levy. I do wonder though, like, there are probably folks within our community that could provide levy support, so like, if that wasn't the strongest.
that's the key thing, and
Yeah.
I did that pretty well, found the people in the community, yeah, there's people in the community, and it's just making sure that those connections are made, and that,
Well, it was early on.
Yeah, it was
We
early
started in early August.
I mean, it's always been in this community, we always had strong support, but they need to be, informed about what's going on, and it's gonna happen, and then boom.
Yeah.
And then supported whenever they need support.
Which, you know, I think is interesting, if we're, not specifically asking this person to, and again, it makes sense, build strong relationships in a year. I guess I wonder, like, would it make more sense even for us to be doing the reaching out when it comes to the levy?
You guys can do that.
Oh, we're not allowed to. Okay,
There's like.
just kidding, I take it back, I didn't know. I'm gonna strike that from the record. I don't know, maybe that was just like because if they're, if we have to get an interim that doesn't live here, right, that doesn't have all of those connections, is that one of our top priorities, someone has that, and it sounds like maybe not.
Well, we've got community members, no other community members.
Yeah.
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 So basically, you just kind of support them and,
They've got-
Supporting community.
Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna take that off the list here, which is good, that's what I wanted to do.
Well, no, I would say we still have oversight of making sure the levy progress goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Pretty
things.
involved with it.
Yeah, make sure it's happening, not necessarily they're doing it, but make sure it's happening.
Well, don't we have to come up with what we're asking for?
Yes,
Okay, so it's not only,
we have to vote for what's on, but But, you know, our staff has to develop the
Right.
details.
Right.
But that's a CFO
Right.
person's responsibility, and then they bring it to us.
So they have to run that side of it for sure.
'Cause I know
Well,
people
and
are
they,
committed
again,
to
the superintendent doesn't have to do it themselves, but they have to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because we have seen on occasion where things just don't get done because somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And lack of levy would be a disaster.
yes.
All right.
So I've got bargaining oversight, financial and levy oversight, and then with the financial, I have on there kind of the ability to analyze and make hard decisions, right? And then supporting the current work. And it was kind of maybe,
Yeah, academic work.
Yes.
You know, those
Well,
big areas. And a variety of things going on.
Check into all of these new high school. Finances include marketing, budget and budgeting. Also, it's technically it's all.
Yeah.
Finance, right? Bruno.
it is.
Well, bargaining is supposed to do with HR, big components.
And then I think the other thing, which I guess again is hard. I mean, I think the ability to build relationships, even if they can't build really, really strong ones
Okay.
in a year, I still think it's really important. And so like, particularly, like, as I've started to see some of the feedback that's coming back, like, the culture is a big piece, right? That folks really want to support,
So.
or want this person to
Okay,
support. And that's gonna be part of the relationship with me, so I don't know, if that's like,
She was gonna check.
and maybe that's a part of the continuation of recent equity work, but maybe taking it to a different level. So I'm not really sure. It could be in the continuation part, but I think I just want to emphasize that this person is like a relator and, you know, really knows how to listen, right? And is not like going to say, this is how you're gonna do it, but rather like, you know, I don't know.
That teamwork
Yeah,
and that communication amongst each other is.
yeah. Just like. Hmm.
I found what you said.
Yeah, I think that's just perfect, Edna, whatever you said.
There you go.
It is 2:45. Okay. Well, we're back to the age-old question of the interim discussion.
Yes, I know what you meant.
I mean, I will,
Not that one.
I mean, I will say, you know, if we're looking. Yeah, I don't know. I guess when I think about some of these things, it strikes me as someone that probably has experience in teaching, potentially, right? Or maybe a deputy or, you know. So I, you know, I mean, I guess I just wonder. How many folks we may get that are earlier on in their career anyway. If- if
They
we're
will
really-
come.
They'll come.
But whether you want to consider them. is
Right.
totally different. That's-
Right, yeah, and so I think that was kind of from before, is like, if we really lean into the things that we need. The person is gonna present themselves regardless, right? So are you okay with keeping the list more open? But being clear with John that we are open to it, but it is by no means a guarantee or even like it's not our presumed, it's not the presumed path necessarily. Like, I don't want anybody to come with the assumption they're coming as an interim to be permanent, but if we are open to it,
Yeah.
Not open to it.
we are open to it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be here. All I needed to do was raise my concerns. I don't need to have my way.
Well, but I think that your concerns are valid, and I think that we can support. And with, for lack of a better word, I hate this word, but manage the interim superintendent to ensure that like the things that you're worried about are coming to fruition. And say, you know, for you, if it's just an interim person, that the things that you're, you know, worried about, consistency and all those other things. So maybe it's, it's just that, it will require maybe a different level, a stronger level of engagement, perhaps, in our part, right? And how we're really supporting and holding accountable, right? Than in person. Is there anything still lingering, I think?
So you're taking this to John on Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next Saturday, we're bringing the survey results back to us, even though we've been looking at them all along. And did we decide how we're collating that, or?
So we're getting a small group of folks together that's gonna collate it to then present at the meeting.
Okay.
And because, there's some open-ended questions that have a lot of text, so they're gonna kind of consolidate that, and it's something that's a little more digestible for that meeting.
Are you bringing those people together?
There was.
Okay.
And Carrie,
And that includes someone from the union? Perfect.
we have invited them for sure, yeah, hoping that someone jumps in, so, okay, so it's obviously, four big priorities for the 12 months, and I think they're reasonable. I mean, 3 of them are a must do, and then the other 2, supporting the current work that we're doing, happening with SEL. And then, the third one is around culture, building, which I'll probably talk to John a little bit on how best to afford that. But I mean, I think I definitely want someone that has experience with culture change and shift and, balance and stuff like that, so, okay. All right. Anything else? That finished sometime.
No, we're
Yeah, man. All right, well, then we will adjourn this. meeting. Oh. Motion to adjourn.
So,
All in favor? Adjourned.
So I hope to stay for the high camp system, and we're gonna say,
no.
stay to the what?
high camp discussion.
Oh, that was-
That's what it's in that free, right? Yeah.